Okay, so there's a huge change coming to schools all across India. And honestly, it's one that's designed to get our students ready for a future that, let's face it, is already here. Today, we're going to break down the brand new CBSE curriculum on artificial intelligence. This is for classes 3 through 8. So what does this really mean for your child? Let's dive in and find out. This is the big question, isn't it? It's the one that probably keeps a lot of parents and educators up at night. The world is just changing so incredibly fast, and the skills our kids need to succeed are evolving right along with it. This new curriculum, well, it's CBSE's direct answer to that challenge. It's all about giving our kids the tools they'll need to not just get by, but to actually lead the way.
And make no mistake, this is coming straight from the top, the Central Board of Secondary Education, or CBSE. This is a massive part of the vision laid out in the National Education Policy of 2020. That whole policy is about a major overhaul of our education system, transforming how we learn and what we learn to make it genuinely relevant for the 21st century.
So you might be asking, why this huge change? And why right now? Well, it really all boils down to one thing: preparing our kids for a future that will be fundamentally shaped by artificial intelligence.
And let's be really clear about this. This isn't just about cramming another subject into an already packed timetable. No, this is a strategic move on a national level. The big goal here is to raise a generation of students who don't just use technology, but who can actually create with it. It's about positioning India to be a real leader in the global AI revolution. Now, before we can even get to the AI part of things, the curriculum starts with something absolutely crucial: a skill called computational thinking. And what is that exactly? Well, it's probably not what you think it is. To put it simply, it's a way of thinking. It's the skill of taking a big, complicated, messy problem and breaking it down into smaller, more manageable, logical steps. Honestly, think of it as a problem-solving superpower that applies to everything, from writing an essay to building with Legos, not just coding. This whole way of thinking is built on 4 key pillars. First, there's decomposition. That's just breaking the problem down. Then, you look for patterns among those smaller pieces. Third is abstraction, which is a fancy word for basically ignoring the junk details that don't matter and just focusing on what's important. And finally, you design an algorithm, a simple step-by-step plan to solve it. It's such a powerful framework for clear, effective thinking.
All right, so once that foundation of computational thinking is in place, we can move on to the other half of this puzzle: artificial intelligence itself. Now, when we hear AI, our minds might jump to sci-fi movies and robots, right? But the reality is, AI is already all around us, every single day.
So what are we really talking about here? Well, AI is basically any technology that lets a machine do stuff that would normally require a human brain. We're talking about things like learning from experience, reasoning through problems, and even understanding language, all the complex things our brains just do.
And this is where it all clicks into place. Think of computational thinking as the blueprint. It's the human skill of figuring out how to solve a problem logically. AI, then, is the machine that actually builds from that blueprint. So to really get how AI works under the hood, you first need to understand how to think computationally. One builds on the other. Okay, this all sounds great in theory. I get it. But how is this actually going to look in the classroom? What does this mean for your child's day-to-day school life?
So the heart of this approach is all about integration, not isolation. This isn't going to be some separate, boring AI class. It's about weaving these skills into the subjects kids are already studying, using real-world examples. It's going to start with some fun problem solving for the younger kids, and then gradually build towards applying actual AI concepts in middle school. The whole thing is meant to connect different subjects together. Here's a look at how it breaks down. For the younger students, in classes 3 to 5, we're talking about 50 hours a year. And it's going to be integrated into subjects like math through fun stuff like puzzles and games. Then, when they get to middle school, it ramps up to 100 hours a year, where they'll be introduced to the basics of AI theory through hands-on projects and even some simple data analysis.
And this part is so important, especially for parents. The focus is squarely on hands-on, practical learning. It's about kids working together on projects, solving puzzles, and having discussions. The goal is to get them engaged and to have them really understand it, not just stare at a screen or memorize a bunch of complex code. So if the way we teach is changing, it only makes sense that the way we grade changes too, right? Instead of just memorizing facts for an exam, assessments are going to focus on how students can apply what they've learned. We're talking about things like project presentations, problem-solving tasks, even reflective journals. The big question is shifting from what do you know to what can you do with what you know? It's a really big deal.
So let's zoom out for a second and bring this all together. What is the big picture goal here? Why is this curriculum so incredibly important for every single student, no matter what they want to be when they grow up?
The official documents really highlight 5 key reasons. First, preparing for the future, for jobs that don't even exist yet. Second, holistic development, building critical thinking skills that are useful everywhere. Third, interdisciplinary relevance, showing how this thinking connects everything from art to science. Fourth, fostering innovation, encouraging kids to be creators, not just consumers of tech. And finally, and this one is so crucial, building ethical awareness about how to use these powerful new tools responsibly.
And that really is the bottom line. This is about so much more than just technical skills. The ultimate goal is to raise a generation of young people who can think critically, create solutions to real problems, and act as responsible, ethical citizens in our increasingly digital world.
You know, when you think about it, this curriculum is really about planting the seeds for a very different kind of future. And it leaves us with a pretty powerful question. If we teach an entire generation to think this way, from a young age, what problems will they solve? What amazing things will they build? It's a pretty exciting thought. Thanks so much for tuning in.